Council meeting back to order and ask our city attorney to report our closed session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The council did not discuss item 1. Item 2 was discussed, and there was no reportable action.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you would please stand, we're going to have the invocation by Spencer Parrish from Beacon Hill, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance with Mayor Pro Tem Bowen.
Thank you. Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we are grateful tonight for this community, for the people and businesses that make Norco such a special place to live. And Lord, we just don't take that for granted. May we ask that you bless this city for prosperity, for peace, and the kind of flourishing that happens when a community is grounded in something bigger and greater than itself. Give our leaders wisdom tonight. Where there is disagreement, bring unity. Where there is uncertainty, bring clarity. Help us act with faithfulness with what is in our hands, Lord, and trusting in you with what is not. You care about our neighborhoods, our families, and the work of governing well, and we welcome you and invite you into this room tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time, we're going to go ahead and start with our presentations. We have Candace Smith from the City of Ontario Recreation and Community Services Department for a presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, Madam Mayor, and City Council. On behalf of the California Parks and Recreation Society, CPRS, I'm here to present the City of Norco with an award in our Award of Excellence in the category of park planning. So CPRS is an organization, and we have several different award categories. There are over 180 applications in total, and for this particular park planning award, which recognizes excellence in the planning and design of completed outdoor park and recreation spaces that prioritize community engagement, aesthetic quality, long-term functionality, and inclusive access, the City of Norco was awarded in the subcategory of neighborhood park for the Pikes Peak Park Playground Replacement Project. That's a lot of P's. Pikes Peak Park Playground Replacement Project, completed in April of 2025. This playground replacement project was designed to provide a safe, inclusive, and imaginative play environment for children of all abilities. The 4,300 square foot facility reflects the city's heritage and animal keeping lifestyle with themed structures, including a barn, tractor, corn maze, and orchard climber, while modern features such as ADA compliant ramps, adaptive swings, and sensory playhouses, as well as poured in place surfacing, ensure accessibility, durability, and safety. There are distinct play zones for toddlers through grade school, shaded seating, and resilient pathways that make playground versatile and welcoming for all families and visitors. It is my honor to give you all this award. And just so you know, the CPRS actually has all of these handmade and individually designed, so no award looks the same. And it is a mosaic and it is handmade, like I mentioned. And at this time, I would like to present this to you all.
All right, perfect. So if council come down, and we'll go ahead and accept the award and have a quick photo op, please.
Who wants it?
Get her in the picture.
There you go. Amanda, you should be up here too.
Do you want me to take it?
And Todd should be here too, but he's not here.
Stand it in and then I'll get
Yes. So. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
thank you very much for the presentation. I know it's a park that we're all extremely proud of, and staff has just done an amazing job on making sure that that got done. And if you haven't been up there lately, that park is packed all the time now, so it's definitely getting used. So thank you for that. At this time, we are going to move into public comments, so I will call upon the city clerk for public comment, please.
Mayor, I have city council reports on regional boards. It's okay.
I skipped number 1. I'm rusty. I missed the last meeting. All right, so city reports on regional boards. We will start with Councilmember Bash.
Nothing to report.
Perfect. Councilmember Sullivan.
On April 8th, I attended the RCTC board meeting, and it was pretty much business as usual. On April 9th, I had the RTA T-Now meeting, and there was a presentation from RTA regarding their customer information center, and it was really wonderful to hear just how much they value comments and input from their customers, and they take care of concerns right away, trying to get a call back the same day. And if you call in, it doesn't matter what language you speak, they will have somebody, so all languages. So it was really nice to hear all that. And then what was a really nice surprise, actually, there was a presentation by a resident about the Project Blue Envelope program. This is a voluntary program designed to serve as a communication tool between law enforcement and individuals with conditions such as autism, dementia, anxiety, and other communication challenges that may require additional awareness during an interaction. So there's this blue envelope, and you can get it at the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. And online it says that they have them here, so I was happy to hear that. And so it's a blue envelope that law enforcement recognizes, and it'll have in there the driver's license, insurance, registration, but there'll also be special notes to help with any kind of communication. And there's also lanyards, car seat, or the seatbelt covers with this emblem. And I just think it's a really great way to have better communication between people and law enforcement. It was really neat to hear about. And then ridership is up 8% from this time last year, so that's pretty exciting. And there was 4.7 million riders this fiscal year, which is up 2.4% from the previous fiscal year. And as I always finish, youth ride free on all fixed routes and go microbuses through the end of the year. That concludes my report.
Perfect, thank you. Councilmember Newton.
Thank you, Mayor. On April 2nd, attended the Chino Basin Desalter Authority Board of Directors meeting. We adopted our 26-27 budget for operations, maintenance, and capital improvement. Went through all of that, and then I did want to mention we also approved surplus revenue, and hopefully one of our staff is going to be reaching out to finance and to city management on how we would like to address those additional excess funds that we have. So, Joshua, if you'd keep me posted on if you received anything yet.
Nothing received yet, but it is being flagged by staff in the event that it is received.
Okay. And that's all I have to report.
All right, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Mayor Pro Tem Bowen.
Well, the Easter egg hunt was a big success. Thank you, Amanda, and all the staff, and everybody that showed up. It was awesome seeing that many kids, and Kevin took pictures of it as the kids come flying into them. It's a lot of kids, and it is a great event. Thank you. And the senior breakfast was great. I mean, I very rarely get to go to it because it's a scheduling issue, but I went this Saturday, and food was great, company was great. And then Horse Week event meeting, they had a fashion show this last Sunday, well attended, and seeing all the girls dress up in their gowns and pose, and we had our exceptional queens, and just watching them blossom from when they first start. They wouldn't even stand up in front of a crowd. Now they're giving speeches and riding horses, and the best therapy in the world. And that's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Sullivan and I did have our homeless solutions subcommittee this week as well. We were able to review the dashboard and some of the outcomes from our spending with our homeless solutions program and our partnership with the city of Corona. All of the results are up and good, so we're very pleased with that, and then it will be coming to council, but we are under budget, which is always a very good thing. So we're excited about that as well. So we're able to serve the community in that respect and come in under budget, which doesn't happen very often. So good report from that subcommittee. With that, we will now move to number 2, public comments.
This is the time when persons wishing to address the presiding governmental body regarding the consent calendar or other items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body, but not separately agendized, may be heard. Please submit a speaker card to the meeting clerk. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the governmental body's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized matters at the time such comments are made. The governmental body shall not discuss or act relative to any public comments on non-agendized matters. If you need a speaker card, they are outside the door. I do have a speaker card, Mayor. Bonnie Slager.
Sorry, I'm moving a little slow. Good evening, everybody. As you know, not too long ago, Glenn Hedges passed away, and I've been working with Pat, and a event to memorialize him is scheduled on May 2nd at 2 p.m. at the American Legion. And she doesn't have anything formal really planned. Glenn's 2 daughters and Pat's daughter and their families will be there, and some other relatives. And she would just like everybody that knew Glenn to come by. And we are going to serve some food about 2:30, but there isn't any like formal program or anything. But I hope you folks that all knew Glenn can stop by. So that's American Legion, 2 o'clock on May 2nd. Thank you.
I have no further speaker cards.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. So at this time, we will move on to item number 3, which is our consent calendar. Do any council members have any items that they would like to have pulled at this time?
3D.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to approve the rest.
Motion to approve.
There's a second? Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the rest of the consent. If the clerk will call for the vote, please.
I have a motion from Member Newton and a second from Member Sullivan. Please vote. Motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, items that have been pulled from the consent calendar. Councilmember Bash, item 3D.
Yeah, I'll just be brief. Colby. So on this issue, Government Code Section 65400 requires that each city, county, including charter cities, prepare an annual progress report on the status of a housing element of its general plan and progress in its implementation using forms, tables, etc. Essentially, they want us to comply with state mandated housing. What can that look like? So that's city, county, and what do we do to try to protect ourselves from overdevelopment?
Well, as you and the council are aware, that the city has a RENA count of 454 units. It's an obligation that the city is to incentivize through regulation to the development community to produce certain housing products of various income levels. As you'll see on the report, we have accomplished, I think, a little over 100 of that, or right at 90. We're poised to have a couple hundred units added in next year with the completion of the Norco Square project. And then we have a couple other residential projects that will also contribute to that. We are shy in the affordable categories, but that's pretty common among cities and counties throughout the state. However, we do have some project proposals on the horizon that are being submitted very soon here of various affordable projects on a couple different, one out there on River Road and one out in a different area of town, but they're so early that they're very preliminary right now, but they're very viable. So our income category production will be greatly achieved over the next 2 to 3 years. There's 2 steps of the process. One is a permitting of projects, and then one is an occupancy of projects that the state tracks. By the end of this cycle, which is roughly 3 years left, we may not hit all of our numbers of the income categories, but we're going to be close to hitting our actual RENA number overall. In a few months, we're actually going to start preparing for the 7th cycle RENA with SCAG and HCD. So we'll start getting allocations for our next RENA, 8-year RENA cycle. If it's not by the end of this year, it would be in early 27.
What's our RENA number right now?
454 units.
And I understand that they may double that. They're talking about it. What do you think?
That's very speculative. It would be very hard to do in a city of our square miles and our available land. Of course, everyone is pushed to go vertical in high density,
Right.
as there's not much sprawl left to deal with. We have 5 acres on one street corner and maybe another 5 on another, but there's not much more.
And then in terms of the county, given that there are 5 supervisors, my understanding is that they try to push the supervisor has the least amount of clout. They tend to try to push their RENA numbers, and their RENA numbers are in the thousands, correct?
Yeah, larger jurisdictions will have 8,000, 12,000, especially at county levels for San Bernardino and Riverside County, because they can bear a great burden of those units far out as you develop east. In the last RENA negotiation, if you will, SCAG, there's a great push to have a lot of units pushed in downtown LA. At that time, there was a great drive to build in the center of LA urban sprawl versus actually push those units out. It may not have felt fair to everyone on the fringe, like the Inland Empire, but there's a concentrated effort to actually drive more units towards downtown LA. So we don't really have a good read of what's supposed to happen next. This is a bit of an experiment from cycle to cycle, and they're targets, and HCD understands that they're targets. So now it's just what's the data coming back from every jurisdiction on how we achieve those targets or don't.
Right. So I guess my question was, let's say you have 5 supervisors or 5 council members that each have a district. The supervisor or council person that has the least amount of votes, they tend to push those RENA numbers into those districts because others don't want to have that kind of housing in their districts if possible. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, that can be true. There's a battle of every jurisdiction pushing their units to another jurisdiction.
So a multiple of 4 to 1 might indicate where housing is going to go. It'll go to that 1.
It could. I would need more information around
Yeah,
it.
I'm just generally speaking,
Yeah.
my experience has been that that's kind of what happens, especially in cities. That's all I have. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all I have.
Are there any other comments on this item? No? Okay, so thank you. Motion, is there a second? I second it. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve item 3D. The clerk will call for the vote.
I apologize. Was that Member Bash that made the motion?
Correct.
Member Bash, and a second from Mayor Pro Tem Bowen. Please vote. Motion passed unanimous.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will move on to number 5, which is the public hearings that we will be conducting this evening. So I'm going to ask the clerk to read the public hearing procedures for all of us, please.
Order of presentation for public hearing items, staff report presentation, council questions of staff, open public hearing, public comments, closed public hearing, council discussion and action.
All right, thank you very much. With that, we have item 5A, which I will call upon our Director of Community Development to make the presentation, please.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. Colby Cataldi, Director of Community Development. Item 5A is the first reading of ordinance number 1141, Code Amendment 2026-01, and adoption of Resolution 2026-20 for the Western Riverside County Transportation Uniform Mitigation Program, also known as TUMP. In 2024, WRCOG prepared a nexus study for their TUMP fee. On September 9th of 24, WRCOG Executive Committee reviewed and approved the nexus study, which requires TUMP participating jurisdictions like Norco to update their fees regularly. This adjustment is intended to ensure that TUMP fee levels continue to keep pace with increases in construction, labor, and land costs associated with the delivery of regional transportation infrastructure, while avoiding larger fee increases during the comprehensive nexus study updates. The construction cost index is an increase of 2.6%. There is Resolution 2026-20 that establishes a fee schedule for the TUMP. You'll see the fee schedule on the slide before you. It deals with the number of single-family residential type of development, also multifamily industrial projects, retail commercial projects, and also office projects. The future automatic construction cost index adjustments will be implemented administratively in accordance with the adopted ordinance and resolution and will not require future public hearings. Motion 1 is to conduct the first reading of the ordinance number 1141, amending and updating the city's TUMP ordinance. And motion 2 is to adopt resolution number 2026-20, adopting a TUMP schedule. We do have Mr. Cameron Brown here. He's the TUMP program manager from WRCOG. He's here in the audience if there's any more detailed questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. With that, we are going to bring it back to council for questions of staff. Councilmember Newton, any questions?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes,
Perfect.
I have a question. Colby, you want me to direct it to you first, or?
Cameron, you want to come on up, Cameron? Thank you.
Shouldn't be that hard. So, evening.
Sure, Colby would do just fine, but
I know he would. Good to see you again.
thank you.
So in our, the first place I saw it was like page 3 of our ordinance. The TUMP, your percentage adjustment on TUMP, in no event shall the annual adjustment exceed 5%, whether positive or negative.
True, yes.
Okay, so on the positive or negative sign, what I'm curious is that, let's say with the cost of construction or the cost of goods and services, that if this year or next year is 6%, okay, you can only go to a max of 5, but then the following year, let's say is 3%, can you come back and say, you know, the year before I was at 6, so I lost a point, so I'm going to take that 3 and I'm going to add the 1.
No, we would
Okay.
cap it at 5% each year. If it was higher, it would still be capped, but we tie each year's index, CCI increase, we tie it to certain indices in
Right.
the previous year. So, no, there's no making up for
There won't be
lost
any
revenue
going
from
back.
last time. No, we're not going to do that.
All right, and is that how you're addressing that with whether positive or negative, that statement of fact?
No, no. A CCI, it could, it's not likely, but it could drop. Construction costs could go down. It's not without precedent. We saw it in the recession. We saw construction costs come down. Actually, our TUMP fees went down during a few of those years, from about 2010 to about 2012. Our fees decreased because construction became cheaper.
Because of 2008,
right-of-way,
2009.
right-of-way construction costs became cheaper, so our projects got cheaper. Now, the last 10 years, I would say that's probably not going to happen again, but you never know. So it could happen. It's theoretical that it could just decrease. Those indices could be lower in a year, and if it did happen, we would reduce our TUMP fees.
So where do you address this? In the ordinance or the resolution or in your statements, that there's no going back on the percentage?
Well, in the ordinance, it
Or
should,
no makeup, I should say.
in the ordinance, it should state that the fee increase is tied to certain indices for the previous year.
Right.
I believe it's September of the previous year. We look at the National Association of Realtors Index, which kind of covers right-of-way costs. And then we have what's called the Engineering News Record Index, also in September, which covers more of the construction, labor, materials costs for our transportation projects.
Yeah,
But that's where it's in the
right.
ordinance. It doesn't spell that particular thing out specifically. We don't really have the language, but it is tied to that index with a cap at 5%. It doesn't really expound more beyond that.
Okay. So we'll trust you on that.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have right now, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Sullivan, questions?
No questions.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem, any questions?
Yeah. Greg pretty much asked what I was going to be asked, but I just want to make sure. Like, let's just say we have another recession like 2010, where everything went down, costs went down, and I kind of, are you going to go ahead and match your cost to go back down and reduce the percentage?
Yes, yes. We'll
Okay.
tie it to whatever index. If that index is negative, then our fees would go down tied to that index.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, when the recession hit and you couldn't even buy a job,
Yeah.
everybody pulled all their contracts back and had them relooked at, and they were saving millions of dollars. And I just want to make sure that you would readdress that and you would back off.
We would adjust our fees. We would most likely not adjust any allocations that we've made to our cities. Like, for instance, you have allocations towards a few different projects right now, mostly Hamner Avenue projects.
Right.
We would not change that.
And those would freeze because if the contract didn't change.
Yeah, we'd still have the same agreement with the city to reimburse up to that amount.
Okay.
Councilmember Bash?
Hi, good to see you. Was there any pushback from the commercial or residential builders and developers on this?
We got no pushback on this index. In fact, when the Nexus study was adopted in 2024, we got no pushback, even though the fees jumped quite a bit on that increase. The only pushback we got was that industrial wasn't high enough.
Right.
There wasn't a high enough increase for industrial.
Yeah, I sit on the executive committee for this, and I just wanted to make sure people knew that there wasn't that kind of pushback at all. And then in terms of, would you say it's fair to say the executive committee, we tend to really watch to see what things cost, and that we would be the first, well, actually you guys would be the first, but we'd be right on board with lowering costs if all of a sudden that came out. Because I was actually on the board when we did lower it in 2010, 2011. Would you say that's fair?
I would absolutely say that's fair. Yes,
Yeah.
you guys keep a good eye on that.
And then the other thing, just to make everybody aware of, and you all know it, is that we get millions of dollars from WRCOG. I mean, they're doing our Hamner Avenue sound wall project. I know that Amanda's doing a lot of the work with the electrification stuff. And so we have, for the amount of money we put into this, we definitely get our money back. So anyway, that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Then that will conclude our questions of staff. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Are there any public comments on this item?
I have no public speaker cards.
All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. We are going to go ahead and bring it back for discussion with council. Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to approve. Do you want to do the ordinance first? Because we have to do two separate, right?
And can I read
So
the
you
title of the
retitle.
ordinance?
Yes, please, sir.
An ordinance of the City of Norco amending ordinance number 1127 to establish construction cost index adjustments to the Western Riverside County Transportation Uniform Mitigation Fee TUMP program.
I have a motion from Member Bash and a second from Mayor Pro Tem Bowen. Please vote. Motion passed unanimous.
All right, thank you. So we have a second part of this, so I'm going to move to adopt Resolution 2026-20. Thank you.
I have a motion from Mayor Grunmeyer and a second from Member Sullivan. Please vote. Motion passed unanimous.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 5B, which is amendments to the city's general fee schedule for our upcoming fiscal year. Our Director of Finance.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of City Council. This evening we'll be presenting amendments to the user fees for the upcoming fiscal year. If the clerk can please present the PowerPoint. Thank you. So as part of the study that we conducted back in 2025, it was recommended to update the fees on an annual basis, which is a standard practice for most jurisdictions. In general, this will be adjusting the fees for CPR, Consumer Price Index. For this period, it will be 3.2% based on a January year-to-year comparison. The idea is to keep up the fees on a annual basis to keep up with inflation, general cost, and whatnot, so that when these studies are done, there is not a considerable jump in those fees. So overall, within the staff report, you will see the numerous fees that the city does have on record. Most of them were adjusted at 3.2. A few of them were modified based on new information or modifications from staff. Going by the various different departments, starting with animal services, we are recommending consolidation of the adoption fees into one fee, which will include the maintenance fee, microchip, and vaccinations. The intent of this is to make it clear and transparent of what is actually included in the adoption of animals within the city, because sometimes it can be a little bit of a surprise when there's a series of fees that can jump into there that can be all throughout the fee schedule within there. Next will be spay and neuter fees. These were updated downward to reflect more favorable vet pricing that the city was able to obtain than historically that was conducted within the study. We took the average of the vets plus a 10% markup for staff time to render those particular fees. Some new fees that we are recommending for adoption into this year are adoption fees for reptiles and also a euthanasia fee for small fowl, such as chickens and other birds. Within community operations, these will include parking lot fees that were updated for the Ingalls Vet Center and the corridor and staging area. Previously, these during the study was performed, these were based on the lot being at half size. Now it is at full size, so we are adapting those fees accordingly. Additionally, we'll be removing the baseball bases fees. And for the picnic shelter rental, we will be adding a non-resident component for the rental of that particular spaces. Sheriff is for the certificate of citation correction. This was a correction item that when we imposed the fee, we did further research and noted that it is based on a government code that does have a administrative cap, putting it at $25. With the CPI increase, there is some rounding involved, depending on the nature of the increase and the fee type, and most of the fees are shown in whole dollars. There will be one administrative change, specifically on outdoor courts hourly rate. That will be rounded up to $26. Currently it is shown on the schedule at $25.80. You can refer to page 19 of the fee schedule in the attached agenda. It is a recommendation of staff to adopt the resolution updating the city's general fee schedule for the upcoming fiscal year 26-27, with the additional motion to administratively update the fee previously mentioned. That concludes staff presentation. I'd be happy to address any questions from council in public.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. Councilmember Bash, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Bowen, do you have any questions?
This one's for animal control. Just a clarification, I was reading through that. What is wild exotic animals? Can you clarify what that is? That was one of the big questions for animal control. I mean, it's vague.
Yeah, I do want to call up our...
I don't mean to put you on this.
Yeah,
Pardon?
Animal Services Superintendent to elaborate on that one.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
It just says wild exotic animals, $1,000 for permit to have them. What kind of animals are we talking about?
You know, I honestly do not know in particular for wild exotic animals.
Maybe that's something you can get back to me later, but
'Cause I think that was an older fee that existed.
yeah, I was curious about that. I read it extensively, and I didn't know what it was. And I mean, exotic animals could be anything that doesn't come from the United States. So if we're talking about an exotic horse, you could classify that as an exotic horse. So now you had a horse shipped from another country. Now that's could be. And if there was some type of clarification on that.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics. My general thought would be something along the line of like camels, something to that degree. If there was something that came in that we impounded that we could adopt out.
Yeah. All right. That was my one question for that. And for animal control, that was it. It was just a clarification.
Okay.
I didn't know what it meant. So
I'll get back to you on that one.
thank you. And that's all I got.
Councilmember Sullivan, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Newton, any questions?
Just a couple. If I could comment, though, I remember we had an exotic case years ago. Councilmember Bash may remember, but it was like on a hawk or a bird of prey.
Yeah.
So it maybe what that's.
It was a hawk that they used
Yeah.
to hunt.
I think that's the one that I recall, if that helps. Joshua, so question on the rounding, and typically it's going to be on all the smaller fees, is that we're rounding numbers, we don't actually recover any costs. When it's under like 50 cents on the dollar, that just falls back to the original fee.
In most general cases, yes. We also do some homework. We also do a one-year look back. So if it has been right at the 50% each year and we don't do an adjustment and the amount reaches a certain threshold, we would do it in year 2.
Okay, so, but we are reviewing that recovery yearly?
Yes.
Okay. I'll accept that. I need a little more clarification or understanding on in lieu payment schedules. And that's on per square foot of leasable area in residential projects.
Give a page number?
Yeah, like the last page of the rate schedule, or 45. Page 45.
Yeah, so these are amounts that we do receive from the Real Estate Research Council that are annually updated. We did receive our update from 2024 to now current in this update.
So how do we use this?
I'll leave that to our Community
Okay.
Development Director.
Very good question. So as council adopted a inclusionary housing ordinance a couple years back, one of the legal requirements is to have an in lieu fee to that. So typically when a developer comes in, then they're going to build some 15% of their units would be affordable. We would today really work with them to ensure that they actually produce those affordable units within their project so they're developed in the current time of their project. But they do have an option that they can elect to proceed with an in lieu fee. Instead of performing those units at the time of their development, they can pay an in lieu fee to what you see on the table here, so much per square foot of those 15% of units, and then they write a check to the city for that in lieu fee.
So then not to build.
Correct.
Inclusionary housing.
Yeah. So the city would then retain those monies and then at a future date, develop an RFP and deliver a housing project that is affordable.
Okay. And these are adjusted yearly?
They are to be adjusted annually, yes.
Hate to put you on the spot. I don't recall if we've ever taken in lieu with the small amount of projects that we have.
I don't know that we have, because there's not many affordable units proposed.
Right.
When the fee was introduced, there should have been an annual increase last year. That wasn't done. We're capturing that now. I worked with Kaiser Marston to do the analysis.
Okay.
And so we have a true analysis that is today for 2026. But we do have development projects that are being submitted right now in a couple different locations. My preference would be for them to produce those units, from day one out of the gates, because otherwise we're deferring that to a future date, and that gets to be difficult to perform.
Yeah. Yeah. Personally, I'm not a fan of in lieu on anything, so.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate Joshua. The answer is Colby. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, very good. At this time, we are going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Do we have any comments on this card?
I do. Bill Naylor.
Evening, Council. Just a couple of things that I thought I'd bring to your attention and maybe you could get some clarification on. I'm looking here under Community Services, under Facilities Maintenance, and specifically here under the arenas. I see that you have an application processing fee, and you also have a booking charge fee. It seems strange. It almost seems like you're double charging somebody for coming in and wanting to rent a facility. It just didn't make sense to me. Maybe there's a reason for it, but maybe somebody can explain it to me. The other thing that I wanted to bring out is since most of the time you've got a pretty good fee per hour for different facilities, whether it be the hall, the barn, the arenas, or the park, and then yet you also have the application fee going in here. Is the application fee charged whether they get to rent the arena or not? They come in and find out, well, I want to rent it, so fill out the application, find out, whoop, can't do it. Do you lose the fee? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense here. Those were those two concerns. There was another concern here regarding application fee, and if you go over to under General Facilities and Services, that fee the application fee does not coincide with your other application fees for the rentals of the facilities. it's funny, it's just, one says it's $58 and one says it's $53. And I thought, if you're gonna charge it, it should be consistent through the whole system. The last item that I had here, and I would like to thank staff for looking into it and helping fix it, was under animal services on the dog license fees for seniors. I do appreciate Joshua and animal services for making that correction, because the more years you would get your license for at one time, you would think the price would slightly drop. Actually, it increased, so now they've fixed it, so it's much better, and I do appreciate their efforts in getting that corrected. Thank you.
I have no further speaker cards, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. At this time, I will go ahead and close the public hearing, bringing it back to council for discussion and action. I will go ahead and start with discussion. I would like to thank Animal Services for your work on shopping around for the spay and neuter fees. I know that's going to be a game changer for a lot of people, so thank you for your work and effort in getting that done. It's certainly appreciated. Councilmember Newton, discussion?
Not so much discussion, but also thanks to Donald, Amanda, and Animal Control, averting a crisis and the reduction of fees, and just tying that whole thing together with the, with our occupancy at the time. I think it's just a very smart approach, and I appreciate all the work you've done, and along with all the other departments. And still have a little heartburn on the rounding part, but I'm going to trust Joshua on that to look at that yearly. Thank you.
Councilmember Sullivan. Mayor Pro Tem.
This one's for Donald. You don't have to get up. I also looked at the adoption fee for cows, like $1,250. What if it's a small calf? I mean, it maybe there has to be, needs something in there for weight, because we'll have to hold on to it until it gets to the size that we can sell it for $1,250. That doesn't, I looked at it and I go, is it, a full cow or steer, that weighs 900 pounds, 800 pounds, or is it a 250 calf? No one's going to pay $1,250 for a calf. So I'll reach out to you later. That's all I had.
Councilmember Bash.
I'm also grateful for the response. It was really fast. Thank you. That's all.
Then, perfect. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the resolution. The clerk will call for the vote.
Point of clarification, Mayor, is adoption of resolution with the administrative amendment as discussed in the presentation.
Got it.
I have a motion from Member Bash and a second from Member Sullivan. Please vote. Motion passed unanimous.
All right, thank you very much. All right, moving on to item 5C, which is the reconsideration of the Bluff Street annexation, calling upon our Director of Community Development again.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. Colby Cataldi, Director of Community Development. Item 5C is a reconsideration of the approval of the Bluff Street Annexation 27. It includes General Plan Amendment 2023-01 and Zone Change 2023-01. Lacey, is there a presentation? Oh, thank you. The annexation is a city-initiated proposal to annex approximately 20 properties totaling 56 acres of unincorporated territory north of Bluff Street and west of River Road to the City of Norco. You'll see the exhibit there before you. On July in 2025, there was a public hearing that was conducted where the City Council considered and passed the following actions on a 3-2 vote. These include Resolution Number 2025-51, approving Annexation 27 and authorizing the initiation of an annexation application with the Riverside Local Agency Formation Commission, also known as LAFCO, and Resolution Number 2025-52, approving General Plan Amendment 2023-01. It also included the introduction of the first reading of the ordinance number 1132, approving a zone change 2023-01, which was passed on August 6th of 25. Just a point of clarification, there is no application submitted to LAFCO at this time by the city, so LAFCO has had no consideration of this annexation effort, and there's no proceedings or ongoing conversations with LAFCO either. On March 4th, 2026, the City Council voted 4-1 to reconsider its prior approvals. And today's public hearing to reconsider the Bluff Street annexation allows City Council to A, rescind all prior approvals, or B, take no action. A includes formally withdrawing the city's previous actions related to Annexation 27, the associated general plan amendment, and the associated zone change, adoption of resolution number 2026-22, and introduction of ordinance number 1132 would be required to complete this action. Another point of clarification here that the introduction of ordinance number 1132 requires a 4/5 vote of council. If there is no action taken, then all prior approvals, including resolutions number 2551 and 2552 and ordinance 1132, would remain valid and in full effect, and then the city would take the actions to proceed with submitting the annexation application to LAFCO. Lastly, in the last week, we have received probably half a dozen comment letters from the public on this matter, which have been provided to council and also hard copies for public's consumption today. That concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you very much, sir. So with that, we will go to council questions of staff. Councilmember Bash, any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Bowen, any questions?
Yeah, just the one still about the sewer. And this one's for Sam and Collins. What's the odds of us being able to, because some of them are already hooked up to the sewer and some of them aren't. And some of them don't even have laterals going to it. And I just feel it's a big inconvenience for, inviting them into Norco. I know we're giving them a lot of services that, it's debatable whether they're going to get it anyways or whatever, but I would love to have them in Norco, and I talked to Karen Spiegel about it, and I just would like to know are we going to be able to help them, or are they going to have to burden the whole cost of going out, digging in the streets, putting a lateral in, and furnishing them a lateral to their house, and which we all, if you own a house in Norco, you have to get it hooked up to the sewer, but you're not paying the cost of going out in the street and getting it.
When they did the assessment districts back in the day, when there was no sewer, homes were assessed money to construct those laterals. So people did pay to put them in. As the city progressed and sewers were in place, track systems put the sewers in, and the purchase of that home was incorporated into that price. So basically, nobody's gotten a free sewer lateral.
Any other questions?
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to like it. It just doesn't seem fair because everybody that got hooked up in '84 and the '80s throughout the whole city, it was spread out over a large amount of time, And now if they sell a house, they're gonna automatically have to hook it up to the sewer, so.
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second because we're
Yes.
on questions. You can have your discussion when we
Okay.
go after the public comment.
All right.
So do you have any more questions?
No more.
Okay, perfect. Councilmember Sullivan, any questions? All right. Councilmember Newton, any questions?
Thank you, Mayor. Colby, it may be for you or it may be for City Attorney. At the July 16th meeting, the action that we took, and this is in regard to, in the staff report, properties that remain on septic will be required to pay a monthly treatment capacity fee. The minutes reflect that I made that statement and brought up, I believe, on the capacity fees that we should waive those fees, that $19 a month monthly non-connect fee, which we do charge all the other residents in town if they're non-connect. But the minutes don't reflect if we accepted that in our motion. So however this shakes out, do I have to make that statement again? And I just can't. The minutes don't reflect if we included that in our motion.
If the minutes don't reflect it, it's a good idea now tonight to make that statement again. We haven't proceeded with notifying LAFCO, so it's just as valid right now as it was back in July.
Okay.
So if you make those statements again, we'll make sure that it gets in the minutes and we'll make sure that carries forward.
I mean, I made the statement. I don't know if we included that. So thank you. That's all I have at this, Joshua.
And then one addition is you cannot waive fees in one particular jurisdiction, otherwise it could be construed as a gift of public funds. It would have to be a community-wide benefit in order for any fees to be waived in most general senses.
So,
Well, let's start over again on this then, because we talked about it back in July. So what you're saying is that if we'd have to waive it for everyone?
Correct. In order for, we can't do it for one select group. It would have to be a collective thing.
So I look at it from a different set of lens. First, Josh is completely correct. I just look at it as looking at Prop 218. If everybody pays that fee, and that fee is for something, that fee is to maintain the system so it's available for anybody else who wants to tap in. If all those persons are paying for that system and you waive the fees for one group, what you're going to essentially have to do is, instead of charging the rest of the people who are still paying the fee to maintain the system as if you had charged everybody, you're going to have to take money out of the general fund and subsidize those persons who you waive the fee for, so that the people who are paying the fee don't now have to pay for the fee for those who we waived it for. Josh brought up a new portion of gifted public funds, which actually is an angle that I appreciate him bringing up, because I hadn't thought about that before. We'd have to find a public purpose for it. We could probably find a public purpose in the discussions that council has had, in that we're pulling people in to the system who already own a house versus imposing this to somebody who's either buying or selling a house, making a voluntary choice. So public purpose we could probably squeeze in, but I think Josh has raised a good point that I hadn't considered before, and I appreciate you raising that. So sorry for the long convoluted discussion. We just have to make sure we account for the fees that we waive, so that the people who are paying the fee don't make it up.
Wish we would have talked about this last July. So, but appreciate that, Joshua. Colin, thanks.
Any other questions, sir? Josh, I know we've had this discussion via email several times. Can you explain the county's interpretation of mutual aid when it comes to fire service in the annexed area?
So since that jurisdiction is under the county, which is contracted under CAL FIRE, that the responses are done by whoever's in closest proximity with the assets necessary to address the particular call, whether that can be a station in Eastvale, Corona, or even Norco. The idea of the mutual aid is that Norco assets would respond to there, but also same Norco assets can respond to also a incident in Corona or Eastville or other jurisdictions, depending on the need and other calls going on at that particular time. In this particular area, the fire services are paid for out of the county's general fund, and there's really no cross-billing or anything like that at this time.
Okay, thank you. No other questions? All right, so then I am going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Madam Clerk?
Before I call on anybody, I need to let you know that we received 5 letters in opposition to the item from the following residents. A copy has been provided to all of council, and there is a copy for the public. Andrew and Megan James, Joe Brown, Luke and Ingrid De La Rey. I apologize if I'm messing these up. Roger and Linda Vanderland, and Mary and Reed Roberts. My first speaker card is Roger Vanderland.
Mayor Grunmeyer and City Council member. My name is Roger Vanderlaan. I live at 5236 Bluff Street. I am opposing the Block 77 annexation into Norco. When thinking about what I would say tonight that you haven't most already likely heard, is I came across an advertisement in the Norco Horse Week advertisement that stated, "Keep Norco, Norco," and it resonated with me. It may have, although it may have been the statement of one advertiser, I suspect it resonates with many of the Norconians because Norco has collectively embodied strong sentiments towards its lifestyle values, its strong volunteer basis, and its uniqueness from other cities. The same can be said for Block 77 Water Cooperative. We value our independence, our long-standing sense of community, and our structure of volunteerism to support our community. Thank you for hearing us.
Andrew James.
Hi, I'm here today to propose the annexation. Raises some serious current concerns, and there are still too many unanswered questions. So let's start with the most basic. What is the purpose of the annexation? More importantly, what does the city gain? Is there any increase in revenue or expanding tax bases, fees? Because of our perspective, it's unclear of how it benefits us as residents being annexed. We're being told that it improves services, the fire and EMS and police with the state and federal funding because you guys are County of Riverside and CAL FIRE. If this moves forward, what does it actually, the residents get in return? The real improvement, like infrastructure, roads, et cetera, or do we just get higher costs and more restriction? What happens for properties that already have permits in place? So if the city annexes Norco, the city takes control of those active projects, including mine, but there's no enforceable timeline from what I read in the building code section. Without those timelines, the cities can slow the approval process, change requirements, extend projects indefinitely with no accountability. With that, how is that going to coincide with I already have a permit approved from the county? Meanwhile, property owners are carrying the cost. Every delay costs money, every change costs money, so the reality is the city takes control and the residents take the risk. That's not fair. I've been in the process with the county since September of 25, and I got my approval for my permits, and it took me 6 months. And there's a lot of shady stuff that's gone on that I've documented and I've talked to legal attorneys about because it's not right. So I have a project that I'm spending $400,000 or $500,000 on permitting and planning, and then you guys are going to annex me, right? Possibly. And then what's going to happen to my permits? you guys have to set a timeline for it because projects, you guys were talking about construction, it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 years to build a project, right? I have $500,000, $600,000 in permitting and planning. That's what's going to happen. The building code, which my attorney analyzed, from county to city, they don't coincide. There's some sections with California building code, but they don't equal. So who's going to bear that cost? Because the way I look at it, it's all coming to me, which I get it, it's my property, but that's not fair, especially with the connection to the sewer, all this other stuff. And I know there's been comments about EMS. I had a tragic incident in November that happened, and it was directly because of the county. And I'm still trying to decide if I'm proceeding with legal with them on it because it was 100% their fault. So thank you for your time. Hopefully you guys hear it.
Joe Brown.
Madam Mayor, honorable council people, thank you for revisiting this. Substantive things have been said and written, and I agree with all of them. And I feel, as a very, very old man, I feel a tinge of regret. I feel a tinge of loss, and I know. I just put down Freedom of the Will, ponderous volume, Jonathan Edwards, about what choice is. You guys have a choice. Choice is just what we're going to do. We're either going to do it or we're not going to do it. Usually we do the wrong thing. But I would ask you here, you know, the Spirit gives life. You do have a choice here. You do have a clear choice. And I know you want to be the good guys, and I know you are good guys. I mean, it's impressive. It's impressive to come into this body. We're led in a Christian prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Where does that happen? And you people are lovely people and very professional and wonderful. I would just say, please, if it doesn't have to be done, efficiency, expediency, these are good things. Oh yes, it would be so neat just to draw that line to the north of our properties. But don't do it. You don't have to do it. Don't do it. I'd kind of like to invoke my age, okay? I'm a very old man. I communicated with 2 old ladies. Both of them are older than me. One of them, if you could believe this, is 10 years older than me, and she's still living on her own. Neither of them are here tonight, but they asked me to speak on their behalf. And if you look out at the demographic, we got some beautiful kids, you know, that just moved into the neighborhood. And we've got some young people that are in middle age. But the vast majority of us, we're old, and some of us are extremely old. And you know what? What is exciting, what is challenging for a younger person, it gets us up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it may send us to the hospital. You know, we have cardiac issues, we have autoimmune issues. Most of us take the same drugs on a regular basis. Don't do it. Don't do it to us. If you don't have to, and I don't think you do, please think twice about it. Think about what this lovely city stands for, about freedom. Please, please allow us to remain free in our little island there with our wonderful community. Thank you so much.
Luke Delay. Is it Delay? I apologize if I messed that up.
Hello, Council. It seems that the only people concerned about this annexation are the ones being affected and the 5 members of Council. I doubt that there's one resident in the city of Norco that cares if we're annexed or not. I don't understand why the Council is so adamant that we get annexed unless there's something personal to gain. I'm not here to make accusations, but I urge you to listen closely to the residents and ask you to reconsider whether this annexation serves the public. Thank you.
Inger Delay.
Good evening. As she said, my name is Inger DeLay, and my husband and I have lived on Bluff Street for over 14 years now. And obviously, we're here to oppose the annexation. I'm sorry. We are one of 20 families being affected by this project. Of those 20 families, 17 of us belong to the water cooperative known as Block 77, which provides irrigation water to its members and has thrived independently within Riverside County for over 65 years. We have built a strong, self-sufficient, volunteer-based organization that we are proud of. This proposed annexation presents several concerns, including but not limited to the cost of connecting to the sewer system. Upon the sale of one of our properties under Norco guidelines, sewer connection is mandatory. We currently do not have this mandate under county guidelines, which would be a huge financial burden on our residents. In addition, building permit costs and timelines are much greater and offer no clear advantages to us. We believe these changes would place unnecessary financial strain on homeowners without providing any corresponding benefit. It is clear that the driving force behind the annexation is financial gain for the city of Norco. And yes, a portion of our taxes would be redirected from the county to the city. But at what cost are you willing to upend an entire community? The financial gain would be minuscule to your overall budget and would be life-changing for many of the families affected. For over 6 decades, we have thrived as a close-knit neighborhood in Riverside County. We respectfully ask the council to recognize the value of our autonomy and allow us to remain part of the county. We trust you will consider the long-term impact on our residents and preserve the integrity of our community. Thank you.
Ray Curry.
Ray Curry, I live at 5434 Bluff Street. Thank you, Mayor and council members, for the opportunity to again show our opposition to this annexation and their neighborhood into the city of Norco. There's a lot of confusion as to how this all got started. LAFCO, the city, some unidentified person. One thing for sure, it was not us. I have been to several meetings, and the person responsible for starting this has not been identified. We, as a group, a neighborhood, an island, opposed the annexation. As a business owner, I always follow the money. In this case, my neighbors here have lived on Bluff for 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe some 50 years. Their properties are fully developed. The only real money for Norco here is new development, and when I say here, I mean in Norco, is new development and the corresponding permits and fees that go with it. That is not happening on Bluff Street. We oppose the annexation. As an individual, I'm already hooked up to Norco water and sewer. I paid the fees, the permits, the contractor, and the monthly bill to Norco. I'm one of the newest residents on the street. Been there 11 years. Norco already has most of my money that they will get from me. I oppose the annexation. I love the city. I respect the people, you people, that make it look, feel, and operate the way it does. There's a lot of development all around us that needs your input, oversight, and attention. You being here tonight only takes your attention away from the important job of hosting development and keeping it Norco. You should oppose the annexation, or in this case, vote option A. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Mark Broderson.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight and the opportunity for us to share our feelings, really, because it's mostly our feelings that we have here on this. We love where we're at, this community. We love each other. It's from the time I moved in, we were received by everybody here, and everyone has always supported one another. But like what Joe was talking about is what got me here in the first place. I grew up in Southern California, but I spent my summers in the country and growing up on the farm and working the fields and everything. And I always loved this place because of this, and I'm so blessed to be able to have moved here. And it's because of the agrarian culture here. the freedom that we have in that and the uniqueness of it, and how much you guys cling to the neighborhood, the neighborly thing. And for us, that's what we already have over there in our place. And like a lot of people have called it an island. I've shared this, living outside of town is who we are. We live outside of Norco. We love Norco, we love everything that it stands for, but we also love our freedom that we have in this unique environment. At the end of the last meeting, we heard about how we needed to be protected, and that's why we were supposed to be annexed, was so that you could protect us. But the thing is, it's like our properties are already developed. The way that we have our relationship with one another, it's unique. It's a lot closer than you would find in other neighborhoods. We haven't even have people that are outside of ours that join with us and have that same feeling of oneness that we have together. You take this and annex this section of town, outside of town, the people that live outside of town, and you pull us, you stretch your border out and cover us up, you're losing something. You're losing something that still exists the same way as your love for horses and everybody around here to have one, or the cows or the goats or the chicken. I get up at 4 o'clock every morning and go to work because I've got to drive from here. And I hear the chicken. This morning I was thinking about this meeting tonight, and I was saying the rooster's going off, and I'm just like, this is awesome. But the thing is, we're outside of town. We're a unique group of people, and the thing that we're supposed to be protected from was development, from developers buying our property and putting a bunch of houses on them or something. That was the reason to annex what we have here. This is a treasure. I just hope, I'm just thankful that you guys are reconsidering this thing. And, you know, we're all just, you know, at your mercy, truly. Thank you.
Mary Roberts.
For the third time in 3 years, we want to express our rejection of the proposed annexation. We don't believe the City of Norco has articulated a single valid reason or benefit to cause us to agree to it. We were told the county wants to get rid of us. According to our county supervisor, Karen Spiegel, and her staff, this is not true. We were told the City of Norco could provide superior protection against overdevelopment on adjacent properties. According to Karen Spiegel and her staff, this is not true. We were told it is unfair that we have connected to the city's utility systems because we pay the same rates and our usage doesn't diminish the availability of water or sewer to residents. This is not true. We were told it is unfair that we non-residents have access to Norco's equestrian amenities, trails, streets, facilities, and parks because we don't contribute to the tax base. This defies credulity. No one checks to make sure you have paid your share of local taxes anywhere in America before you drive down a street or sit in the stands to watch a sporting event or throw a ball to your child in a park. We were told it is unfair that the Norco Fire Department or police respond to an emergency in our area because the city has to pay for it. This is untrue. Since the city and county have mutual aid agreements, no reimbursement occurs to either party. We were told the city had a right to annex our properties since we are connected to their utility systems. In the 1990 annexation attempt of 800 properties by the city of Corona against Coronita for the same reason, the annexation failed. There is no cause and effect relationship between utility usage and annexation. We are told it is unfair that we pay no local taxes to the city through property taxes. Using information from the State Board of Equalization website, the amount of local taxes paid to the City of Norco is approximately 1% of the median property tax bill, or $50 per year per property. Should the annexation pass, Norco would receive only $1,000 more per year, a mere pittance for a city with an annual budget of $126 million. Because our properties were developed according to county codes and requirements, annexation will result in a mismatch of what exists on our properties and what Norco requires. Our septic tanks were located assuming we would never be required to abandon them and connect to the sewer upon selling a property. The annexation area includes 2 water wells owned by Block 77 Cooperative Water Company. The event that precipitated the annexation attempt by Corona against Coronita was when Corona took over Coronita's water wells. This recent history causes us much concern. We understand that a legal solution might be offered to make this possibility remote, but we doubt it would be strong enough to satisfy our needs. We ask you to vote against government overreach by voting no on the proposed annexation.
I have no further speaker cards, Mayor.
All right, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And we're going to bring it back to council for a discussion and action. And then, Colin, before we start, I do have a question. There have been a few items brought up by residents that could potentially be addressed by some of our directors. So would that be appropriate to do now before council discussion, or would it be like as every person speaks, they ask questions of our directors to get that information?
However council prefers to do it. Both ways work.
Feeling like Colby, you might be on the hot spot a little bit this evening with maybe some information in regards to some of the public comment. Would you want council to just kind of ask, or do you feel like you can address some of the statements that were made at the?
Well, I did hear some statements around the process of one's building permits and their investment in that effort. I've done a number of these annexations with other counties, working with cities from the county side of things. I would work, closely with Riverside County to make sure that the permit process was honored through them. If they've started, paid the fees, and they're well underway, typically a jurisdiction would honor that process up to building permits. There could be discussion with the county at the time of inspection to where the inspection could be handed off to the city to perform that. Or just as well, let the county finish it off because they're perfectly capable of doing so. But I would not recommend that we upturn that apple cart for any reason. There's no real reason to do that. And so the residents should have their clear path to the end.
Okay, perfect. All right, so then we'll go ahead, because I think that was the main one that I heard. Did council have any other questions that could potentially be answered before we get into discussion? Okay.
And I think it's one thing that Mrs. Roberts brought up was with the non-potable water, with the wells, our discussion with the residents personally and back from the last meeting that it's the city's position that we have no interest at all with the non-potable water system.
Correct.
I don't think our position's ever changed on that. So that's the only one I can think of right now on that. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, so then I'm going to go ahead and start discussion with Councilmember Bash.
Well, I genuinely appreciate the comments, and what I really like is I like the respect and stuff you paid to the City of Norco, very much. I don't know how this is going to go tonight, but I have to tell you the truth. And I think that there are some issues that I just don't believe that a lot of you understand. First off, you're not an island. You are not an independent community. You are controlled by 5 supervisors. 5. You've just been extremely lucky. You have 1 supervisor, and a lot of the stuff I heard tonight that supposedly Karen said, I spoke at length with her today. So I'm like, I don't know what to believe at this point. But what I do know, how many people have actually been to a supervisor's meeting and asked for them to take care of this? You have 4 supervisors that don't care. I know them all. I work with them all. They do not care. You are not an island. And in fact, the way it works today, it's not 60 years ago. It's not 20 years ago. It's not 10 years ago. What you have right now is you have a supermajority in the state of California that loves your large lots because they want to put stuff on it. They want to put as many apartments as possible. Right now, you are floating. Right now, Karen Spiegel, generally speaking, it's a 4-1 vote. That means 4 times against her 1 vote. Now, in my personal opinion, she's a great supervisor. She treats Norco really, really well, and she fights for us. So that is the reality. You're coming before our body, but the truth is you're controlled by people as far away as past Palm Springs. They do not care about you. I don't know who told you that, you have the same protections. They are genuinely full of crap. You'll have one person right now in a sea of 5 people that will fight for you. That's just the reality. Right now, the city of Norco and every city in the state of California is battling, I mean literally battling against the housing authority. You have no protection. Your zoning, I mean, it can be changed basically at any time. Norco, we have fought and fought and fought and fought. Norco is not an accident. What's happened is good and bad councils, one after another, have fought like crazy to keep Norco, Norco. I don't care about your money, and I do take personal offense that there's a personal gain in this thing. You're full of crap. I'm sorry, but that really upsets me, because the truth is what we're trying to do is keep Norco, Norco, which, like it or not, you guys are part of. You're right across the street from our city. And so I don't care about the money, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to actually help you. You would then have 5 representatives on the city council. We're not districts yet. We're fighting that. You would have 5 advocates. You'd be able to be pulled into our zoning as it stands today. You would become something in which keeping Norco, Norco. We have to acknowledge the fact, as Norco, you're right across the street. Anything can happen. Now, here's part of the problem is nobody believes that. But the reality is it's happening over and over and over again. There's a very pointed attack on all cities to homogenize all of us, and they do not want people living on large lots. Norco, believe it or not, think about it. Since I got on council, Eastvale was born. That's a city that now is going vertical. You have Corona that has expanded by, 80,000? You've got Urupa Valley, you've got Chino. I mean, that was dairy country when I grew up. This is all part of a plan that they want you to live within 15 minutes of your house. They don't want you in your cars. They're not going to build any more freeways. I'm not telling you, we all know this, but that is the reality of today's world. I love talking about the fact that Norco's 103 years old. I love talking about our city being, 64 years old, whatever it is, 1964. But it is a totally different world. When I got on council, you had a governor that actually said, let cities maintain their own unique individuality and try to create buffers. That's why we got Silver Lakes. But make no mistake, at one point, Norco went all the way to Swan Lake and all the way to the 91 freeway. Thousands of acres were stolen from us. My understanding, and I think Colby already handled it, is permits, we'll honor those permits. You'll be grandfathered in, basically. I don't think you'll have a problem with that. As Norco, we have a responsibility. We're as vulnerable as you guys are. We like to think of ourselves as a patch of green surrounded by an ever-growing sea of concrete. But guess what? Look at the apartment complex. We fought that tooth and nail for 4 years. We got no help from the county. We're fighting a high transmission line that endangers where you live today. And by the way, I haven't seen any of you at any of those meetings. No offense. But the reality is the county basically voted against us, including our own supervisor, for high transmission lines that you cannot fight fires around. Those are the kind of battles we're fighting. But you know what? Even though you are an island, and I'm not trying to offend you, we're fighting for you too, because your supervisors aren't independent. The reality is you're not independent. You're part of a county with 5 supervisors. If you came into the city, I totally believe, I don't care about the money that we might get from you. That was never an issue for me. It's that you're right across the street from a city that is actually, first we were a historic district to protect our large lots to trails to open space. The only reason we know that is because of our fight through the Norconian. We went, wow, we can use this. Well, Scott Wiener, who I hope you've all heard of, that's the person, that's the Antichrist, that's the person doing all this stuff. He said, wow, Norco has a district and they're exempt from a lot of stuff. He said, well, let's make it landmarks. So what we did was we spent a lot of money, we landmarked our town, large lots to trails to open space. So we're now exempt from some charming little laws like SB 9, SB 10, and any other law they can come up with. Those are the kind of protections that you would have. The well system was already answered. Karen Spiegel and her staff stated it wasn't true that you would have the same kind of protection, superior protection with ADUs and stuff. I get that she will fight for you, and I know that the very day after we voted for this, she went to your properties and talked to you all. But you have 4 other supervisors, 3 of whom want to build apartments. They want to build apartments. They want to go vertical. They want people to live in urbanized situations. 3 of them. You have a 4th that's kind of on the fence, and then you have Karen, she really fights for her district. So in essence, right now, you have 1 person fighting for you. Chuck Washington doesn't care, Medina doesn't care. I know them all. They don't even know you exist. And so the thing is that the problem is the state of California also doesn't care if you exist. They care the size of your lot and how many houses they can put on it. One of the battles we're getting ready to fight, the prison closure. We came up with a great plan, and basically the HCD just looked at us and said, we're gonna build as many apartments on that property as we possibly can. We have a mandate from the governor. We don't care what the state legislature says. These are the realities of what is happening today. I mean, obviously very thoughtful people, but I have to understand the idea. I know that you're right across the street from Norco, which somebody has already said, keeping Norco, Norco. And by keeping Norco, Norco, you guys actually have enjoyed the benefit of more of Norco than your own supervisors. I get that you're a close-knit community. I totally understand that. But state doesn't care. And 4 supervisors don't care. They may tell you, oh yeah, we really care. But you've never even met them. I'll bet none of you could, no offense, but I'll bet you can't even name your supervisors. Those are the people in charge of your island. Autonomy. You do not have autonomy. You've been lucky, like Norco was lucky for many, 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 many years. We now, I mean, the difference between being on council 19 years ago and being on it now is, one, it's an extra 20 hours a week. It's constantly trying to figure out how do we circumvent the state. And I believe right now the city of Norco has personally, in my opinion, the best staff ready to fight the state of California. We're just praying that we get a governor that can start vetoing some of the stuff that's coming at us. But if they don't, you're still gonna have those mid-20-year-old kids sitting in the housing authority who control you. They control us and they control you. The cost of connecting to the city, all I can tell you is that, and to be funny, we rigged a system to get sewers in this city of Norco. I would tell you this story, but it would take too long. We got to Norco in 1961. We fought sewers, we fought sewers, we fought sewers. When they finally came in 1974, the way it came in is the state condemned us because we were dumping sewage into the streets. We all had septic tanks. My mother, my father, paid $65 to $100 a month in an era when you made $75 a week for 30 years. That's what it cost. And that's what built the sewer system. So I understand the cost, I understand that, but don't ever think that Norconians didn't pay a huge price. Right now, up in the hillsides, you got people paying a huge bond that's covering all that infrastructure up there. And it's just a sad reality. And by the way, I know you all think you're not gonna have to go to septic or go to sewers. I beg to differ. The state is so close right now to forcing everybody to do that. I mean, right now, they got you pulling all your fruit and your vegetables out of your trash. When do you think they're gonna get around to sewers or septic tanks? I mean, they've been trying to push these things as they go along. And trust me when I tell you, you go before those supervisors, Karen will support you, but the other four won't. Because they're gonna be like, hey, it's the environment. I mean, I could say other things, and I truly don't want to be, because I really feel for you. You're where Norco was 10 years ago. We thought we were an island too. I can remember running saying, yeah, we're gonna keep our autonomy, keep Norco, where nobody's gonna touch us. Well, guess what? You see that apartment complex, and you know how silly it gets? Do you know I can't even fight a fire above the 2nd floor? And the state doesn't care. You say, hey, I can't fight any fires on the 4th floor. That's your problem. It's what's called an unfunded mandate. They don't care about your traffic. They don't care about any of it. All they want to do is pile what we do is we call rack and pack them. And right now, a lot of you, I look at some of these large lots, and maybe one of the things you can describe that we help to protect ourselves, Colby, talk about the areas that we've had to designate in the city of Norco that are specifically, we were forced to create these, that are specifically designed for high-density housing.
Well, there's a number of properties picked out for higher density development. That could be, you know, the undeveloped lands of even the Wiley Laboratory property is something that it could be a target for the state to push high density housing there. And you know, every 5-acre lot or plus or minus an acre is targeted on the sites of the state to have higher density housing, regardless of any local jurisdiction zoning regulations.
So basically, they can actually change the laws anytime they want. And one of the things I'm looking at here is you've got a couple of really large lots. And I just wonder, I mean, I'm not saying this would happen tomorrow, but the idea that you're not vulnerable, or that you're an island, or that you're isolated, I would argue that part of the reason right now you're isolated and do have somewhat of an island is because you're right next to Norco, and you've benefited from the fight. So again, I don't know how this is going to go tonight. My number one job is I want to protect you. I want to make sure you're as represented as possible, but I want to make sure you also understand what the score really is. What the score really is. And I don't mean to be mean, because you've been super kind. I mean, I would be truthfully proud to have any of you as a resident in the community of Norco. And I know a lot of what I said, you're not going to believe it. Residents don't believe what's happening in the state of California. But I had to tell the truth. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Bowen.
Sam, as far as the sewers go, this is the hill I'm trying to get over, so, because I want them to be a part of Norco, but I'm having a really hard time with the added cost, and I know everybody's been, is there some way that we could take the cost of putting laterals in, and then when they sell the property, and it's part of the escrow like we do the other part, then it will go towards a payment plan form? I'm just throwing ideas out there. You know, they could pay it like an escrow. When the house sells, then it goes to, it doesn't actually have to. Let's say, because if their sewer system breaks, the septic tanks they have, and they're in Norco, and they can't put another septic tank in, and then they have, I'm looking at the older couple, and they're on a fixed income. And then now they have to go out and spend $20,000, $30,000 just getting it to the street. And now they're having to spend another, you know, 30 to 40,000, maybe 50,000 to be able to hook it up to the sewer. That's a big chunk of change. I couldn't afford it. Is there some way that we can work that out to where, let's say the elderly couple that came up here and says, my septic tank has failed, now I'm a part of Norco, you won't allow me to fix my septic tank. And do they fall under a clause that we could, that they're exempt from it? No, I don't think so, but that's my question for you.
So first and foremost, septic tank failure, whether you live in Norco or the county Riverside, requires you to connect to a sewer if feasible.
Yeah.
So if these residents on these houses had a septic failure, they would be required by the county to connect to our system based on the ordinance. The one thing they're arguing is the sale. In regards to your question, generally speaking, I don't know. That might be a legal question and something for council to decide. It's a little more structured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, you could set something up where the city served as I suppose it would be some kind of a development loan that attaches to the property, but pragmatically speaking, at the sale of property, you either take the amount as part of the sale price and just pay it off immediately, or you pass it on as a loan, and then all of a sudden the house becomes more expensive by the amount of the loan.
Right.
It's a council choice. We can create some kind of a loan program if that's what council wants to do. We'd either use general funds for it, or we might be able to use Prop 218 funds because it's going to be paid back.
That's pretty much my only holdback is they're fine now. And then, in my opinion, they are Norco. And the only time we ever get to talk about this is if we sit up here. I can't go talk to anybody because of the Brown Act. And I'm throwing these out there, and I want them to be a part of Norco. But I'm really hard to get over this hill with this because I put myself in their spot. And if that's something that everybody else would agree with, I'd vote yes. But that's just something, and I'm new at the council, and I don't know if I can actually ask the council people up here now, can I?
Yeah, yes. It's an agendized item, and this is germane to the item. So
Yeah.
we wouldn't take action on it tonight. We'd put it up
Correct.
for future action, but this is part of the discussion.
Yeah. Would that be something that the rest of the council would be in favor of, to be able to help them out, to be able to hook them up to sewer by either getting on a payment plan or funding a portion of the cost for just the lateral only, not the hooking it up, you know, because they'll have the same as every other instance. Like when I bought my house, I had to hook it up. Is that something that'd be interesting thinking about?
Yeah. So if this amendment dies tonight, can we then come back and look at that?
Yes.
Because if we vote that in tonight, then we have to literally start over again, correct?
If you vote to rescind the prior approvals, then yes, we go back to square one.
So in other words, we allow this to die tonight, but then we can come back and say, okay, we need to figure out a way that we can work these sewer laterals out.
Yes, you can.
I disagree on the sewer laterals. I think that, one, with the way our code is and what we did originally, if you paid in the enterprise fund, that you bore that cost for years to have lateral installed. And the code is specifically clear that if you've paid into the enterprise fund and there is not a lateral to your property line, then the city will install that lateral at the city's cost. But how many folks do we have in town that maybe that situation is You gonna pay for my lateral too? And, but that also came up, I don't want to jump out of the conversation, but in the previous meeting, when we were talking about sewer and connections, and one of the residents that was connected to sewer off a bluff made a comment that said, yeah, if you're going to put all that in for the non-connect residents now, are you going to give me my money back? And that,
Well, going off of what you just said, and that the residents been paying, we could make a payment plan over 20 years for hooking up to the sewer, and it always attached to the house, and I don't know if that's possible, but I'm just throwing this out there, because it's a big chunk of change, and it's a big, heavy burden. And
I understand all
Yeah.
that. Well, I'll wait till you finish whatever else you have. To continue with Sam then, what would constitute a failure on a septic that couldn't be repaired? If I had a septic system at my house, and whether it's a pit or leach lines, if I can repair it, I'm still okay. City's not forcing me to connect to sewer, right?
Right.
If I have a failure that I can repair.
I might defer to the building official on this. Typically, the failure is going to be the leach pit or the leach field because of absorption rates, that the septic tank just fills up faster. Believe me, I know, because I had one back in the day.
Yeah.
I think if it fails and it's not general maintenance, I think at least in the city of Norco, that you would have to connect to the city sewer system.
But the failure's from lack of maintenance, typically.
Yes, or just putting stuff down there.
On percolation, I'm not.
Yeah, you could, I mean, just like anything else, void space in sand or whatever gets compromised over time. It might be, I know where I grew up on alluvial fan, which has high percolation rates, and within 7 years, ours failed. And they're costly to repair.
We put a bunch of them in Fontana, but that's Fontana, so not Norco. I guess maybe that, to still stay with your comments, see how this shakes out, but I think I'd need to talk about more specifics. I don't want to commit to either a loan program or reduction in costs at this time. So I'll get back into turn.
Yes.
It goes back
Thank
to
you, sir. Via
one.
comments and discussion.
Yeah, basically, I would need more information. I couldn't make a determination on that. I know it is a very heavy burden for those properties, and I do really hear all of you, and I appreciate everybody coming up to speak now for the third time, and I really, really feel for you. The concerns that Councilmember Bash brought up about Sacramento and the legislature is all very true. The lots are at risk. Zoning, it's terrible. They really do not care about any of us. And we're just trying to protect our large lot sizes, and we want your lots to be protected also. So that part is all very, very true. And it's just, I do really, really appreciate you coming, and I really feel for you. And that's about it. Thank you.
Okay. So, like my colleagues, I mean, I appreciate your time, the first time, the second time. You are all very gracious and polite. But I also want to mention the time that the mayor and I spent with, let's say, your little neighborhood group, your representation, and you asked a lot of questions. And as I won't speak for the mayor, but I know for both of us was we'd take those questions and there'd be 10 more questions came up. And then we would research those. And it took us a while to get there. And through all this time, you were always extremely gracious. And I think I got a pretty good handle on how this all shook out. I mean, what Mr. Bash talks about with protection and zoning, we can't able to, have protection with some of our zoning. It is an uphill battle with the state. We also met with the county and Supervisor Spiegel and her chief of staff. I had numerous conversations with them, and I think it all came down to me was with that the residents of Norco, even though it's on public service, on fire and sheriff, yes, there's mutual aid, but the city of Norco is bearing those services. Already mentioned, I mean, I think we're pretty clear on the water well, on the non-potable water, not interested in that. The sewer, to me, is, you as homeowners, is the largest burden if you were to sell your property. The county does not require you to connect to sewer. City of Norco does. That, to me, is the one biggest item that jumps as my concerns. How we would handle the other connections on that, I'm not quite sure. One of the gentlemen earlier, you brought up a question on some infrastructure, like what improvements do you get or wouldn't get? And, all I can tell you is if you go down Bluff Street, you're going to see a section in front of your homes from center line to your property line that's not paved or hasn't been paved recently. It's quite apparent and it does stand out. That's the county's responsibility. And so today, or if we were to repave Bluff, we would be jogging back to center line and pretending those properties aren't there. And that's why Bluff Street looks the way it does in front of your property lines. Because the county isn't going to come and pave it. They'll let that section of road just degrade as it is today. So there's multiple things, but I just don't want to rehash it other than with the smaller meetings that we had. I know the mayor will do it much better than I will. So I'm going to go. Robin, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. So I made the motion to reconsider back in March, and I think some of my colleagues begrudgingly said, okay, we can talk about it again. And I'm sure it's been exhausting for all of you guys, as it has been for us as well. I think a couple of things have come up in our research. Like Greg said, we've done extensive research on this, and I guess my frustration with the whole process is elected officials don't like to have hard conversations, because I would venture to say that most elected officials care about getting reelected. And sometimes in these positions, there's hard discussions that have to be had. There's answers that you have to give people that they don't like. You might give reasons or discussions that people don't agree with. And it's not the fun part of this job. If we go back, and I think back to my experience on council, I can remember all the way back to Ted Hoffman, who sat on LAFCO. So LAFCO is an agency that we're a part of. And LAFCO has a strategic plan like many other government organizations. And part of their strategic plan is to get rid of these pockets of county land. And your area is on the top of their strategic plan list. And it's also streamlined. I heard from residents several times in this block, well, we don't even have a say. They've taken away our voice. And you are absolutely correct. LAFCO said if you're under a certain amount of acreage and all of these things, you don't even get a right to public comment. And so I remember one meeting with a small group of residents. We just want our independence. We have a community. We have all these things. And I was listening and I'm like, that's Norco. And it struck a chord with me. That's why I wanted to talk about this again. And that's where I struggle, because I see how fiercely you're fighting for your independence and to stay this block. But then as I sit up here, my responsibility is to all of the residents of Norco. And you've heard my colleagues talk about how we're trying to protect Norco, and you're on the edge of Norco. And I would even argue that 90% of people believe you are Norco, that they don't know that you're a pocket of county land out there. And so when we look at the bigger picture, I'm gonna push back on some of the things that the information you were given from Spiegel's office, in the vein that it wasn't like intentional misinformation. It was folks didn't want to have the hard conversations. And the fact is that the governmental processes have been laid out in a manner in which, Norco's the leading agency. Absolutely 100% correct that you've been told by LAFCO we're the leading agency. But it is under the strategic plan that the county wants to get rid of these pockets. And so the first step out on that process is given to the city jurisdictions. That's just a fact. The county can say we have mutual aid. That's a fact. But Norco's bearing those costs in our contracts. That's just the way it is. And so it's frustrating to me because it seems that everybody's just kind of passed the buck or passed you guys around, so to speak, to different offices and different bureaucracies and government organizations without really necessarily having those hard conversations. And so, like, for me, I feel like it makes us look like the bad guys in this whole thing. When there's no personal gain for us, this process is hard for us. We don't take any joy or pleasure in it. And the fact that you guys have had to come back 3 times, I think for me, this 3rd time is really about, at least for me, getting our truth in the public arena so that folks can see, what our thoughts and what our kind of guidance is on this. I think the other part of this, and I know I've had a couple emails back and forth with legal on this. There's a set of findings for general plan amendments. On these findings, there's 4 things. It's consistent with the general plan. It's reasonably compatible with immediate surrounding areas. It's not detrimental to the public convenience. It's not injurious to surrounding properties. It doesn't adversely impact adjoining parcels. If you make those findings, like, you're legally required to do the thing. Now, if there's some way we can say, nope, it doesn't it's injurious to surrounding properties, well, then we can say, we're not going to do it. But the fact of the matter is, in these findings, there's not any room to find where there isn't one of them made. And believe me, if there was, like my colleague, Councilmember Newton, has been amazing when we've been in some tough spots with some really big companies to be able to make some findings that we can deny some stuff. So it's not where we're not diligent and we don't do the work. Like him and the cell phone company was amazing. Going back to that one and being able to make a finding when they stood here and told us that we wouldn't be able to. So, but it's just still, it's very conflicting to me because again, I think I understand where you guys are coming from. Going back to some of the points that Councilmember Bash said about your county supervisors, I can speak for myself. You've had more responsiveness from your non-elected officials sitting up here than the people that actually represent you, and that's not going to change. We've all been available. We've all responded. We've met with, I know I have met with you several times, and I've been quite frank and honest in my discussions with folks when they've come in. I just don't believe that you'd get that time and attention or the time and attention to actual research from like your county electeds. I just don't. And so, you know, from that respect, I think you would get more representation under the City of Norco in a variety of areas. And I guess my last comment would be on the resolution regarding the Block 77 water group. Can a resolution be changed or overturned? Absolutely. You guys have seen it. It's happened with your stuff and the annexation. But I would say having a resolution to protect your group and your water would be kind of like an olive branch, I guess, so to speak, to your group, and something written down when most government agencies aren't even willing to put it in writing. I think our group is willing to put it into a resolution and in writing, keep your group, keep your wells. We're not interested in your water. Taking on those wells would be a huge financial obligation to the City of Norco, and we have no interest in taking on those kinds of expenses. So I just hope that the residents that have engaged with us and have been through the process with us, take us at our word and at face value. There's things that happen that we don't like, and there's circumstances that we have to deal with. That's just part of, as I tell my students, adulting, and it's not fun. But I'm leaning more towards leaving things as is, with the exception of coming back with a resolution for protecting the water group and potentially exploring how we can help out with the sewer. So that's where I'm at this evening. But I don't know where my colleagues are.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for clarification then, if we're going to make notations or have it in the minutes that, like the mayor said, not interested in the non-potable wells, let's go back to what we talked about in the very beginning, that's on that non-connect fee. So I'm not going to propose that. Am I clear that if we were to waive that fee for a select group, we would have to waive it for all?
We don't have to waive it for all. We just have to account for it. So we would account for it.
And how do we account?
We'd have to make it up with general fund money. Otherwise, by waiving a fee, we still have a public project and infrastructure that needs to be repaired, maintained, whatever. The cost of doing that through fee studies has been evenly distributed to all. When we tell one group they don't have to pay, and we have something come up in the system that's supposed to have been paid by all, and one group has not paid, then the repair still has to be paid for. It's either paid by the people who are the remainder of the group, which we cannot do in compliance with Prop 218 because that imposes more on a homeowner. What we have to do is we have to make it up with general fund money. We can do it. We would just pay the $19 a month through general fund, and that would replace the fees that the other group would have paid.
It sounds in the long run that then I should withdraw that request. Because years ago, that's not how that was sold to us. At least my explanation by previous directors was, oh, this is just to reserve capacity at the treatment plant, period. And we have plenty of capacity. So
you can always make the fee waiver contingent, and we can go back and look and see what the fee is charged for. My understanding is the standby fee is to make sure that there is capacity, but also to maintain the system in a ready state for when a person wants to connect to it, so that all the other residents don't spend all this money building up the system, and all of a sudden, when the whole system is done and everybody's paid for it, somebody says, now I'd like to connect, and here's my lateral.
would it be best then to tie that conversation in with the lateral conversation?
Yes, you can do that.
Okay.
Could I ask a question?
I support one, but not the other at this time, so it's like.
So I have a question.
Can I finish?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And this is just just a little further on comments by Councilmember Bash, but I think Mrs. Robertson, her notes had mentioned something like, how did this all come about? And to the best of my knowledge, when Ted Hoffman, Councilmember Hoffman, was on LAFCO, I was his alternate to LAFCO. And as I recall conversations with him, it was just, this was a direction LAFCO was being pushed to take all these pockets throughout the county, and which the mayor and I researched back with our supervisor, was LAFCO's direction from the county was to clean up these smaller pockets, these 50 acres, 100 acres, whatever. And that's what, to the best of my knowledge, that's what Ted said is why this started moving forward with Councilmember Hoffman at that time. The one thing to remember, as Councilmember Bash was talking about with the county supervisors, 2 county supervisors sit on LAFCO. They set the direction. It's not an independent board. I'm glad I'm off of it, okay? But it's just an arm for the county to, what you were saying, Kevin, whatever their goal is. So that's just my 2 cents on that group.
Yeah. So when we've lost property, like we lost Swan Lake, we lost all the property south of River Road, we lost all the property, used to be Yuma, now it's Hidden Valley to the south. It was because a developer came in, and essentially they wanted to build, they didn't want our zoning, they wanted to take over and build high-density housing. And we just didn't have the wherewithal. And actually, people went to jail over this stuff, so it was really a big deal. I'm wondering if we could make a promise tonight that we're not trying to take anything over. What we're trying to do is we're actually trying to bring them into Norco. And maybe what we need to do is meet with them, meet with a group, and say what kind of things, I mean, we can zone in such a way that protects them, correct? I mean, their zoning, there's all kinds of things that we can do as a body that I don't think they would get if they stayed with the county. And so if they come forward, we may not be able to say yes to everything, but at least we can find ways to bring that entire community and try to help them to keep the autonomy that they seem to cherish. But they do cherish. But again, I'm with you, Robin, they sound like Norco. But I'm just wondering if, I don't know if we can do the laterals, I don't know if we can do that stuff, but at least we can have a discussion whereby they can maybe create some kind of direction within our community that we make sure some sort of a resolution in which we try to protect them as they stand today in some form or fashion. Basically, they would be, but I noticed that a lot of these lots are larger than half acre. And so maybe if they come in and they say, we want to maintain these large lots, and we make it, an acre. We could do things like that. I'm just not sure, but at least have the discussion.
So my point would be, and Colby, you can jump in on that if you want, is this not one of the primary reasons we're doing this? Is to offer the protections that we have with our A120 zoning, our equestrian zone, our landmark zone. So my feeling is our zoning exists today to protect Norco. It's just we want to offer those same protections, and that's one of the reasons for this annexation. So I think our zoning and all that is correct.
Well,
I mean,
maybe
but larger lots would just be under like a state zone or something like that, right?
Yeah, the council already took your actions on the land use designations through a general plan and also the change of zone to A120. So you already have the largest lot applied within our code to this. We don't have a larger version in our code today, but it's very appropriate as to how you're handling it and how you did it before on all the new pre-zoning that you did for this site. It's all very appropriate and, well, it applies well to that community.
And maybe it's nothing more than just an education to let them know what the protections are. And by the way, we did used to have large lots. They were 5 and 10 acres in the hills, and a bunch of council people decided to go to half acres. We're just saying.
But we still have that zoning.
What's that?
It's like AE zoning. We
Yeah.
still have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe it's
for
just an
larger lots,
education.
for 5 to 10 acres. So.
Is there any other discussion? No? Okay, so I just want to be clear. If we don't make a motion, they stay annexed, because I heard some rumblings out there. So just want to make sure, like we have option A and option B up there. So there could be where there is absolutely no action taken this evening. However, I do, and again, Colin, correct me if I'm wrong, I would like to make a motion to agendize for the next meeting, bringing forward a resolution regarding the Block 77 Water Company and protecting that in our ordinances or wherever, I don't know where the correct place would be. So that was a motion.
So you're taking no action, but
I can't because it was not agendized, correct? So protecting the water company would have to come back.
Correct.
Correct.
We'd have to bring back a separate.
So this is totally separate from B.
Correct. So again, because if we take no action, the annexation, zoning, everything that was done before remains in place. But what I heard from many of the residents was they wanted their water well protected from Norco. So my motion, again, I'll just restate it, is to agendize bringing back a resolution to protect the Block 77 Water Company.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
And we're not.
Oh, Kevin seconded it, yeah. But we can still discuss. That's the way Parley Pro works. Yeah. No.
No, I mean, there's no action proposed on the items for tonight's consideration. The only action proposed now is a motion for an item for future consideration, which is a resolution protecting the water on Block 77.
But nothing on the sewer?
Not under this motion. If we want to make another one, we can make another one. I want to keep this one separate. I think we're ready to vote.
I apologize.
No, you're good.
I have the motion from Mayor Grunmeyer, and the second was Member Bash. I apologize.
No apology needed. There's a lot going on up here.
Yeah. Please vote.
I have a point of order, Mayor. On this
Oh,
voting, it doesn't.
It doesn't say the,
Yeah.
yeah. It is, because it, on the heading,
The heading on the
Oh.
ballot.
it's, we were voting on reconsidering.
Best to do a roll call vote?
Yeah, we could do that.
Councilmember Sullivan? Councilmember Newton? Councilmember Bash?
This is on Robbins.
Correct.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bowen?
Yes.
Mayor Grunmeyer?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous.
Okay, perfect. Do we have any other discussion under this item?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and readdress the sewer issue to find out which direction we need to take.
Second.
I apologize. The motion was from Bowen, Mayor Pro Tem Bowen, and the second was from Bash.
Yeah.
Member Sullivan? Yes. Member Newton?
No.
I apologize, sorry. Member Bash?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Bowen?
Yes.
Mayor Grunmeyer?
Yes.
Motion passed 4-1.
Perfect. Any other discussion or actions? Okay. So then, again, just to clarify, no action has been taken by the council regarding previous action. So the annexation will stand, and paperwork will be submitted to LAFCO to proceed forward with the process. Number 2, under the Brown Act, we cannot discuss or act on any items that were not specifically listed in the agenda. So we have to bring back to another meeting how to create and keep safe your well and your Block 77 water company. So that will come back to another meeting to be considered and discussed. The second thing that we just voted on that will come back is consideration of how the city could potentially work with residents on sewer laterals. So that's the actions that have been taken by the council this evening. If you have specific questions regarding like permits, projects in process, those things, I'm sure staff would be happy to talk to you this evening, or at least grab a card from staff so that you can follow up on those items. And again, any of us up here are accessible and reachable by email, cell phone, and all of the things. So I know, and I would say I speak on behalf of council, and you've been told already, we appreciate your time and coming back. And please know we've given this a lot of thoughtful consideration, and it's not a decision that we've taken lightly. So with that, we're going to move on to item 6, which is city council and staff communications. So I'm going to call on city staff. Going to start on this side. Lacey or Sam? No? All right. Colby, you're good. Josh, Amanda, you guys, nothing? Okay. City attorney?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Okay. Acting city manager? Anything?
Couple things. We will have 6th Street closed this Saturday for the Horse Week Parade. We also have rodeo this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so we hope to see you all at Ingalls. Thank you.
Public safety in the back? Anybody? All right, very good. Councilmember Newton? Thank you. Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes, I just wanted to thank staff for doing such a great job for the Easter egg hunt. It was so much fun, and there were so many kids, and they had such a great time doing all the little activities and making the space bigger. It was really, really great. So I just wanted to say thank you, and that was a lot of work. Were there more kids there this year than last year? It seemed like it.
We're still getting the counts. We lost 2 clickers, but we're still trying to get those counts. But it seemed about the same as prior years. Yeah, we had a roundtable discussion today, and they said it was about the same.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bash.
Nothing, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bowen.
No, I'm good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I adjourn this meeting at 9:20.